This podcast is brought to you in part by PNP Games, your online source for everything video games. Visit their website at pnpgames.com or at one of their 3 retail locations in Winnipeg, Manitoba. All right, everybody. Welcome to the Touch of Gaming podcast, episode number 160. As always, I'm your host, Lloyd Hannison, and joining me, Jared Schultz. Jared, how the hell are you?
I like how you started with the other music, and then you're like, just kidding.
You mean this one?
This is Touch of Gaming.
Yeah, it was fun. Here, I'll put it on for a second. This one.
Yeah, that's the one we started to hear.
Yeah. See, I pushed the wrong button. Started the wrong song. I didn't unmute myself. It was just everything went wrong that could have possibly went wrong. But I didn't laugh at your joke, which is the first time that in a while that didn't make me laugh. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Same joke too. So no, I'm doing great. We had kind of a quick bout with the stomach flu here, but everyone seems to be all better. And then today, about halfway through work, we all got told to go home for a snow day because we had like 3 inches on the ground. So,
oh, poor baby.
Yeah. Well, Portland's not really equipped to handle snow. We're equipped to handle massive amounts of rain.
Right.
And we do great at that, but a little bit of snow and we're messed up. So,
nice.
Yeah, I went home and worked from home for the rest of the day, so that was kind of fun.
Wow, that's cool. I wish we would ever have snow days. We could get like 2 feet of snow, and there would be no snow day because we're Winnipeg. That's just the
that's
way
how
it
it
is.
was where I grew up.
We're tough and rugged that way, I guess, or whatever you call it when you're stupid and you drive on the roads that you probably shouldn't drive on.
Yeah. So it's been a crazy little bit of week, a little bit of nuttiness here and there.
Cool. Well, we're back. Just wanted to remind you guys that we've put the show on a bi-monthly, bi-weekly, whatever you want to call it, release schedule. So we're going to be doing a show every couple weeks for the next little while until some things settle down. So if you look for a show last week and didn't get it, it's not that we forgot. It's just that we didn't plan to do a show. So we do a show now. We'll be doing a show on the 20th of February. So for the next probably February and March, you'll probably only be getting 2 shows a month. And then we'll see what happens after that. We'll play it by ear a little bit.
Yeah, man. How you doing?
Me?
I didn't actually ask you. I feel like a jerk.
You were too busy talking about your 3 inches of snow, and I thought, oh, that's so cute. 3 inches of snow when the city shuts down. I can't imagine living in a city like that. It would just be so bizarre. So bizarre.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm doing good. Everybody's healthy. No stomach flu. How fun is stomach flu in a house with a small baby? Isn't that the most enjoyable thing ever?
Yeah.
You know, do you want to know the most helpless feeling in the world is? The biggest crazy helpless feeling in the world is you puking and then having a little voice at the door saying, "Daddy, I have to vomit," and you're just like, I don't know what to do now. That is the worst feeling. So your little one's a little too young for that yet, but you'll probably experience it at some point, and then you realize just how terrible sickness is when you have kids.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. So
yeah, cool.
But no, it. Luckily, my son didn't ever get to the throw up stuff, so he just got like a pretty good fever and such like that. So yeah. It's good.
Cool. All right, well, let's stop talking about sick and let's start talking about games. Before we do that, though, I just wanted to let you guys know that we have a new show here on the VG Podcast Network. It's called Derez, D-E-R-E-Z-D, and that is a show that is a replacement for the bonus stage. Jeff retired at the end of last year, and we carried on. I did another show with my new co-host, Will Kelly. You might have heard him before on the Inside Disney Infinity podcast if you listened to that one on the network. And we called it the Super Bonus Stage, which was just a horrible name. We wanted to change it since Jeff was no longer involved with the show. And we decided to just scrap everything and start fresh. So we have derezzed. We've changed up the format. We've changed up a lot of stuff. So if you listen to Bonus Stage and it wasn't quite your cup of tea, you might want to give it another listen and see what you think. Bonus Stage was pretty raw sometimes, a lot of interesting language being used. We're not doing that on this one. So just like all the other shows on the network, it is going to be family friendly. So if you have kids, there'll be no swears or other inappropriate stuff. So hopefully you guys can check it out and let us know what you think. Derezzed over at vgpodcast.com.
Yeah, you're on episode 1 over there, whereas this show's we're only on 160.
Yeah, so I got a little bit of catch up to do on that show, I guess.
Can you believe that 160 shows? Like, that's starting to get to be a lot.
When we hit 100, that was a lot. And I mean, for a while there, we were doing 2 shows a week. And now we're doing 2 shows a month. So I think that's what happens when you've done a show for over 150 episodes. It starts to get like, we've talked about all the stuff we could possibly talk about. So what can we talk about? That's kind of the ebb and flow of the podcasting world, I guess.
Yeah, but we'll keep talking about the good games that come out. So
we will for sure. Definitely want to keep everything positive and talk about the good stuff because there is a lot of that. Which is
not the games we're reviewing today.
Yeah, the game I'm going to review today is not a good one, but we'll get into that when we get into the reviews. Let's jump into what we've been playing. I know, Jared, you've been playing everything, so why don't you tell us a little bit about what you've been playing?
Yeah, I've been playing a lot. It's good. Just kind of been playing, not necessarily playing a ton of a lot of different games, but trying picking up a few, playing them for half hour, and deciding whether or not I'm going to keep them around. First of all, I've been playing a game called Tower Dwellers. So this is another tower defense game. It to me looks a lot like the Kingdom Rush series. It looks like they took a lot of inspiration out of the Kingdom Rush series, and that you have a tower, and in the towers you have a number of units that you can then set somewhere in the road, which is different than actually having them fire out of the towers, which happens in most games, but Kingdom Rush that doesn't happen. And it's pretty good. The interesting mechanic in this one is that you have support buildings that go alongside your towers, and the support buildings go and actually grant your towers some sort of special ability, which like you can put a carpenter next to them, and then they'll start firing. They'll become archers, and you can actually in some situations stick as many as 3 support buildings. I would say that it's just kind of the quick version is it's okay if you really need another tower defense game, but it might be worth your while to look for some of the really great ones, like Kingdom Rush, and go play some more of those, because this one I don't necessarily think is anything extra special. The second game is actually a game that's not quite out yet. And so I can't say 100% everything I think about it. I can't give an official review or anything like that. But it is Bug Heroes 2. It's a follow-up to Bug Heroes. There's actually a game that has stayed on my iPod for a very long time, even though it came out like 2 or 3 years ago, and it's never actually come off my iPod, which is a massive compliment to the game.
Was it only 2 or 3 years ago? It feels like it was like early, like when the App Store first launched, it was there. Like it seems like it's been around forever. I guess it really hasn't, though.
Yeah, I don't think it was that long ago. I mean, I can look it up at some point, but this one is cool because they've introduced some mechanics that make it almost like a MOBA. So there's some levels that play like a MOBA, but then there's others that play like the older game, and there's again, I can't say a ton about it. It's by Forsaken Media. They're the guys that make like Block Fortress and stuff like that. I just looked it up. The game came out in 2011.
Oh wow!
So
feels like it's been out forever.
It's 3 years ago. Bug Heroes 2 is everything I wanted and more. It's really, really good. I can't give it a rating or anything like that yet, but you should just probably go and buy this game when it comes out.
It'll be coming out in a couple weeks, I believe, right?
Yeah, on the 20th. So it's out in another 2 weeks. So we'll be recording again on that day, and I'll probably tell you to buy it again then, and I'll do an official review then. So it's good. You may want to try out Bug Heroes, the first one. It's free right now, and if you like that one, you're gonna like the next one even more because they just changed. They changed enough to make it feel really fresh. They have a really cool like 2 hero system going on where you can be a bruiser and have like a gunner and back you like a sniper. So you'll have 2 heroes at a time, which is really cool. They have several different currencies, and sometimes that gets annoying in games, but I feel like in this one it makes sense, which is good because, sometimes you have like all these different currencies and it's just a mess, and this game doesn't suffer from that. So that's Bug Heroes. Do you want to talk about my next one, Dungeon Keeper?
Yeah.
So,
Dungeon Keeper. Oh,
did you play Dungeon Keeper when it was on PC originally?
It used to be one of my favorite games way back in the day.
So you're one of the people that's really offended by this.
I no. Well, yeah, I guess so. It was me. I'm one of the people that was super excited when I heard it was coming out, and then it came out in Canada like I want to say 2 months ago. Like it's been out for a long time in as a soft launch, and it was horrible back then. Like everything was so expensive, everything took so much time to create, and the actual release is worse. So they made something that was bad worse. I just don't even know what to say about this anymore.
Yeah, so here's the thing about Dungeon Keeper. It's a beloved franchise, and for people who don't know what it is, the original franchise, you are building a dungeon and you're vanquishing heroes that are coming to beat you up, right? You're setting different traps for them and everything like that. I think it's really kind of funny because if you go on Good Old Games, GOG.com, you look at their top selling games of the last week. The top one is Dungeon Keeper 2, and number 2 is Dungeon Keeper Gold. And I think it's total in reaction to this game. It is just sitting you get through the tutorial, and if you decide to start going and digging in different ways, and if you're digging into the center, of your area, it goes really fast. It's like 30 seconds. But if you're digging in other areas to new places, it's like 4 hours. And you have 2 of these guys, so you can dig out 2 spaces every 4 hours.
It's worse.
It's slapping with you this right as soon as you're outside of the tutorial. And if you want to do it, if you want to speed it up, it's like 50 gems.
Yeah,
which
it's like
is a
$2 worth of gems. Yeah, no, it's crazy. There's blocks that take a day, and the problem with Dungeon Keeper is it was always it was like a fun and frantic game. Like stuff was happening, you had to be quick, you had to figure out where you're putting your torture chambers or where you're putting the traps. Where so you're thinking, and it's fast and it's twitchy. And then this game is it's like Farmville, but not even fun. And Farmville isn't fun. Like Farmville is just grind. It's work. This seems worse. And it seems worse to me because I'm a fan of the franchise. Like I said, I played this a long time ago, and gems were expensive. They're more expensive now. Things cost less gems. They cost more gems now. There was an article that came out because there was a bunch of articles that came out this week about how this is probably the worst example of freemium games out there. And we had it in a news story, but might as well talk about it now. Some people high up at EA said, well, the reason why things are so expensive and why we keep playing with it is because we're getting positive user feedback. We're sitting at a 4.0 on the iTunes App Store. We're sitting at a 4.5 on the Android App Store. So obviously we're doing things right. If people didn't feel that there was some value in this game, they wouldn't be spending their money. And then an article comes out today where if you're playing this game on Android, Well, sorry, if you're playing this game on iOS, it'll eventually pop up a window that says, "Do you want to rate it?" If you hit yes, it takes you to the App Store. You rate the game. You come back to the game, which is fine. That's how ratings work. On Android, if when it pops up that window, there's two buttons. There's leave a 5-star rating or leave a 1.4-star rating. If you hit leave a 5-star rating, you go to the Android App Store, you leave your 5-star review, you continue on with your game. If you hit the button that says 1 to 4-star rating, it brings you to a web form that isn't the Google Play Store to leave a rating, and it says, "Oh, we're sorry you don't think our game is 5 stars. How can we make it better?" So they're actively preventing people from giving it bad reviews on the Android. Like, everything evil that a developer could possibly do with a game, they're doing with this one, and they're doing it in spades. It is ridiculous. I hope people lose their jobs. I hope this is the biggest bust for EA ever. The problem is it isn't. It's on. I'm trying to go to the App Store right now to see what position it is on the Canadian App Store. It was number one for quite some time. It's not number one anymore. I'm curious to see what it is on the US App Store. I don't know if you can take a quick peek, Jared.
Sure
We'll
can.
do that. It's not. I don't see it at all. Oh, no, I see it at number 86. So it's still making money. And it's horrible. It is horrible. I've bitched about terrible freemium gameplay, and this is coming from a guy that plays Simpsons Tapped Out, which is a game from EA, which is freemium, but I don't pay money to play it. I have fun with it. I play it a couple times a day, maybe once a day. Maybe I skip days. I play Skylanders as well, just because it's fun every once in a while to build your city and lay stuff out. So I play those games. This is the worst example of that I've ever seen. It's
So good news on the US App Store. It's currently 132 in top grossing apps.
That's good. It was number one for a while there. So it was actually making a lot of money for EA. I just hope it makes no money for them, and that they pull it, and that some manager high up like loses their job or has to take a demotion or something, because this isn't a game. There's nothing about it that's fun. It's designed solely to scrape as much money from people's pockets as humanly possible. Just horrible.
Yeah, it has more in common with like Clash of Clans or something like that.
But even Clash of Clans has game elements to it. This doesn't seem to have any game elements to it. It's
to
weight.
me, I think it has the same as Clash of Clans.
Yeah, I guess
game elements. It's just much slower.
Very slow.
Whereas Clash of Clans allows you to do something. Anyway, I don't really want to whine and complain about it much more. I did read another article that was very interesting on it that said, they're kind of, if you figure the target market of people who really want to play Dungeon Keeper is, basically early 30s time frame type of age group. And they also were showing a study that showed that's, early 30s males are the least likely to actually spend money on in-app purchases.
Okay.
So I was like, well, maybe there's some hope. But anyway, we'll see what happens. I don't recommend this game to anyone. I have deleted it because I was trying to hold off until today so that I could say I played it for a week. I couldn't even do it. I mean, I had to delete it because it was so worthless. It's really frustrating, really annoying. I don't recommend it to anyone. And if you're loving it, well, more power to you. Whatever. But and I hear people whining and complaining about it online. Free to play it's fine. If people use it well, it's a fine way to monetize games. I know that there are a few free to play games, which I like a lot. I am willing to spend money on them to support the developers, but not when it's exploitative. It's not even a word. And anyway, so don't touch this game. So we've already used this story up, so we won't touch that in the news. But Dungeon Keeper, I'm not reviewing it ever. I'm not playing it anymore. It's not even worth my time.
Do you know what the best part about Dungeon Keeper is right now?
What's that?
It won't load for me anymore. Like I went into it before starting the show so I could basically talk about it a little bit more. And this is where it gets to. So it goes to EA Mythic, goes to the intro screen. It goes to here, checking for updates. It gets to 17%, and then it crashes my iPad. So even if I wanted to, I could not play Dungeon Keeper. Darn! I'm gonna have to.
I think you should delete it.
I'm gonna have to delete it. That is terrible. It's just a terrible, terrible thing.
That'd be great. So the next game I've been playing, and this is, I do have good things to say about games. Oh wait, I already said Bug Heroes 2 is awesome. It's not out yet. Then I've been playing Barbarian. That's like barbarian with a D right stuck in the middle in a weird place.
So you play music, you play an instrument. You're a bard.
Yep, you're a bard, and you use your instrument to summon people from the town to fight along with you. And so basically, there's a crystal in the town, and all these baddies are attacking from the right, and they're going into the left side, and they all follow lanes, but you don't have to really follow lanes, and you'll have up to 3 guys following you. I think maybe you can get more later, but you'll get like archers and warriors and priests and stuff. And you'll get as far as you can, then you can use your cash to upgrade your different units so that they're better, and then you can go try it again. And it's pretty good. It's interesting for me. The key thing about these types of games, I kind of classify like Nightmare Tower and any of those ones where you're trying to get a little farther each time and earn enough cash that you can upgrade something. The playthrough needs to be pretty quick, right? From when you start to when you finish a try, it should only be, for me, like 3 or 4 minutes, because that's the way I see these types of games. I'm playing Rogue Legacy on the PC right now, and it's very much the same way. I can get in and play one life in just a few minutes, and I'm done. The issue with Barbarian is that it goes a bit long. When I usually play the levels, it's closer to like 10 or 15 minutes, and so I often can't. That's probably the reason why I haven't got to play it more, is because I don't often say, hey, okay, I have 15 minutes to sit down and play this, because if I have 15 minutes, I'm going to go play something more substantial. But if it did play a little bit faster, and you can kind of tweak it a little bit so it plays where you want it to, by starting later in the day and stuff like that. But it just, that's my complaint on it. It's okay. I'm not saying it's a bad game. It's just it doesn't play quite fast enough for me. And then Glyph Quest. Glyph Quest is kind of an unknown game where there's a bunch of glyphs and you're matching them to fight bad guys. So it's more in like Puzzle Quest.
I thought you were going to say, and you're on a quest, and then I was going to laugh because you just described the name and the gameplay.
Yeah, so it uses a hexagonal board, so you're able to match, different ones, and you can't say like match 3 or match 4, because you start off matching 2, and then it goes up, and you start matching 3, and then you can match up to 4, etc. and so on. And it's kind of weird because it's a free download, and you get so far, and then some guy's like, I want to sell you a mage license, and it's $1.99 for the mage license of real money. And I have no idea what I'm getting for this mage license. And so that's my big complaint with it. Besides that, I think the game is very interesting. It's kind of cool because if you get like, you can go like darkness, and match all the moons, and then do darkness again, and you'll get like a +1 bonus and then a +2 bonus if you can do it. And you can go as high as you can. And then if you switch to the opposite element, it'll be like counter, and it'll keep your chain going, and so you'll keep hitting hard until you finally can't match that type of glyph anymore, and you have to go to fire or water. There's a total of 6 in it, and then you go through various little battles that are serious, like go through little battles, and they're fun little battles that like I said, they feel a lot like Puzzle Quest, and yeah, they're I enjoy it.
Hmm.
But again, I just wish that they would do a better job of describing what the Wizard license is, because I have no idea what the Wizard license is.
Well, I looked
Um,
online, and basically you get offered the wizard license when you've gotten to the max level that you can play in the free version. So
so
once
it's like level 5.
Yeah, so once you get to that level, you can't level up anymore until you pay the $2 to get the
Uh,
rest of the game. So I guess it's the full game unlock. They just didn't explain it very well.
they did a terrible job at explaining it. Well, and that's the other thing, because it doesn't look like there's any other in-app purchases on it. So it looks like it's a $2 and that's the entire game. So I'll probably be going and purchasing my Wizard license here shortly. Um, that
Very
sounds
cool.
kind of funny. But
Do you have to wear a robe
yeah,
when you do that?
I'll I'll talk about it more here shortly.
Cool.
But I do like the game Glyph Quest. And finally, a little game that came out today, and oh my goodness, I don't know how these guys do it. This is by the maker of Puzzle Juice, which is that weird game that came out that was so intriguing and you just wanted to keep playing because you were like matching like words and like shapes and all this at the same time. Do you remember Puzzle
I
Juice?
I do. I remember being hopelessly addicted to it for days, and then I stopped playing it cold turkey.
Yeah.
It was the weirdest thing.
And this game will do the same to you. So it's a really simple concept. Is basically there's a 4x4 grid, and each turn either a 1, a 2, or a 3 will pop on. And what you have to do is you have to then match ones with twos to make threes, and then anything above that, 3, 6, 12. You can only match it with the same. So you can go 3 to 3, 6 to 6, 12 to 12, 24 to 24, 48 to 48, 96 to 96. And whenever you swipe in any direction, all of the tiles move in that direction. So if I swipe down, everything moves down, and hopefully I'm pushing together a 1 and a 2 that will, then become a 3 and collapse down the board. So you're constantly looking to collapse down the board and just slowly work up and get as many chains. And it's super simple because each turn you have basically 4 options. You can swipe up, down, left, or right, and it's so like zen and just you can just sit there and play for a while and play a quick round and just enjoy it and then be done. And it's a total high score chase game. They have a bunch of different achievements that you're doing. I can't really review it yet because I've probably only played 4 or 5 matches, but it's really good. It's one of those games that I can just see how, you'd want to play it a whole bunch of times in order to just keep trying to get a high score.
Mhm.
And I really enjoy it. It's super simple, but it's really elegant and fun, and I'm really interested to keep playing it. So, yeah. So I've been playing a lot of good stuff. Pretty much as pretty positive on almost all the games I was talking about, with the exception of Dungeon Keeper, which was crap. So yeah, what have you been playing, Lloyd?
I've been playing a little bit as well. What else? Oh, what have I been playing? I guess the first thing I want to mention is if for those people that are playing Simpsons, the Valentine's Day update came out today, which looks really cool. One thing that I've noticed with the Simpsons Tapped Out is I think the original Simpsons writers that were working on it, or people that had some idea of the world, I don't think they work on it anymore. And I think it's just a team of people inside of EA, because the scripts have gotten weird, and there's a lot of like self-referential stuff, like even more so than what you'd normally get on the Simpsons TV show. So it's like the writing's really bizarre. So I'm not sure how long I'm going to be playing this anymore. It's starting to lose its luster with me after a year and a bit. But Valentine's Day is out, so I'll probably mess around with that a little bit. So that is the non-game game that I've been playing. I picked up and started playing a game on my iPhone. I guess you could play it on other devices, but I'm playing it on my iPhone, and it's called Suits and Swords. And it's really weird. Do you remember was it Poker Dice or whatever, where you're
Sword and poker.
sword and poker
Don't talk about this game too much. I don't know if you saw my review.
of Suits and Swords?
This is my review game.
Oh, it is. Oh, it is. Holy crow. I didn't even notice that. Okay, so I've been playing Suits and Swords, and it's this weird little thing, but I'll let you talk about it. How did I miss that? I didn't even notice that's what you put in the show note for what you're reviewing. So I won't even.
You never asked me what game I was reviewing today.
I didn't. I guess I should have. That was my bad. My apologies. So yeah, Suits and Swords. You'll hear Quacko talk about it. Jared will tell you all about this game, and
you can put in your thoughts on it.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that.
I'll give you exactly 2 cents because that's I think all that I have to say about this game.
Okay.
So Suits and Swords. I also picked up another game, mainly for my daughter, because she was basically we were looking on my iPad together and we saw Frozen, and she loves the movie Frozen. And there's a game called Frozen Freefall. And usually these Disney games, this is freemium, by the way. It's free to download and free to play. Usually these games, they're not very good. It's a secret, though. They're usually horrible. But I downloaded this one just because it has Frozen on it, and she's obsessed with it. And it turns out that Frozen Freefall, it's free to download, and it's essentially Candy Crush or Bejeweled. So, but it has like the Candy Crush level based system. So you're going through levels and stuff, and you have target scores. And when you're playing it, you're playing essentially like a Candy Crush kind of thing. So we reach the target before you run out of moves, and you basically are playing Candy Crush, but it's in the Frozen universe, and the game is really fun. My daughter loves it. I've been letting her play it, except for the last level that I beat myself, and then this one, which I guess I started. She's been playing it pretty much herself, and she's loving it as well. So this is, I guess, her first introduction to a match 3 puzzle game. But yeah, I guess the reason why I'm mentioning this is if you have kids, this is a great game to get your kids started in, say, puzzlers, because it's better than pretty much every other Disney mobile game that I've ever played, because they're usually all really, really horrible and just exist for you to buy the $5 unlock to play the game because your kids are begging for it, I guess. But this game is really fun. It's probably one of the better Bejeweled clones that I've played, and it's free. It has, from what I can tell, I have not been nagged with any in-app purchases. From what I understand, there will be some in-app purchases on it, but it is it's Candy Crush set in the Frozen universe with all the characters, and it is crazy fun, especially if you have little kids, like my little daughter who loves Frozen. It's definitely a lot of fun for that. So do check that one out if you're looking for another match 3 puzzler that you can play. And I've also been playing the game I'm going to review this episode, Flappy Bird. And I have many things to say about this game, but we'll get to that when I get into my reviews.
Great.
All right, shall we move on?
Yeah, I feel bad. I talked forever about the games I was playing, and then you took like 2 minutes.
Well, that's okay, because I haven't been playing as many as you. I've been playing mainly Minecraft on my PlayStation 3 with my family, and Saints Row 4. So I haven't been spending too much time on my iPad these days, unfortunately, just because consoles have been taking up all of my time. But let's jump ahead. Let's get into the news. We had a couple news items. We talked one already, which was the Dungeon Keeper developers tricking Android game players to only give them 5-star reviews on the Google Play Store, which is probably one of the most horrible things I've ever seen. Like, I understand the in-app purchases are, by their nature, they're kind of evil, because you're trying to make them attractive enough to hit a certain psychological point where people just keep buying them without really thinking about it, because it's like, it's only $5, or it's only 99 cents. So inherently that's a little bit evil. This is really evil. So I don't like this. I don't like anything to do with this game. But speaking of evil, it was the game that I'm going to be reviewing this week is Flappy Bird, and it just came out like days ago, and it is all that you hear people talking about online. It's all over the place. It is a horrible little game, but the developer is making an average of $50,000 a day through in-app ads on this game. So there's enough people playing this game where he's making about $50,000 a day in ad revenue for a game that he said took 3 days to make. How absolutely insane is this?
That's crazy. I wish I could get $50,000 a day for something I took 3 days to do.
I wish I could get $50,000 for something that I do. It's just like free money. And I guess that would probably be after all of the Apple and Android are taking their cut. The way that he's saying that he's making about $50,000 a day.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just ridiculous. So, Flappy Bird, if you haven't heard about it, I'll talk about it when I get into my review. But yeah, it's making money. So everything that everybody knew about the App Store and about what apps people want to play, apparently we're wrong. People want to play this stupid little Flappy Bird game. Is the new hot thing on the App Store. It's really, really kind of crazy. So anyway, that's all I want to say about Flappy Bird until I get into my review. And speaking of reviews, let's jump right into that. So Jared, why don't you tell us about Suits and Swords?
Yeah, so I feel kind of bad because you're going to talk about it, and I'm kind of interested to hear what you're going to say about it before you knew that I was going to review it. So Suits and Swords. So there was a game that came out, and it's still to this day probably one of my top 10 on the App Store. It was called Sword and Poker, and then Sword and Poker 2, and I just wish there was a Sword and Poker 3. So hear that, person who's the developer, I will buy your game if you bring out a new one. But Sword and Poker was a mixture of a RPG type game with poker. And this game, Suits and Swords, is kind of a blackjack game mixed with, blackjack mixed with an RPG. So you are blackjack, and you're fighting against these various evil kingdoms. You know, you have to go through the Heart Kingdom and the Spade Kingdom and all that. The different suits, hence the name Suits. But you are fighting various people, and the way that you fight them is by playing a blackjack hand. So the way the blackjack works is that the closer you get to 21, if you get 21 exactly, you'll do a lot of damage, and basically whichever you or your opponent is closer to 21 is who gets to deal damage. So if I have like a 19 but he has a 20, then he'll do damage. However, if I have a 19 and he busts and go over 21, then I'll do damage. And it's a fairly simple system, but then it starts to get complex. And the way that they do it is you get all sorts of different gear that allows you to, raise your attacking power, your defense power. And then you also get these magic spells, and the magic spells allow you to add or subtract a known value. However, you can't equip, or at least when you start off, you can't equip multiple spells. So you'll be able to equip one spell that's like a -3, which is really good because if you just barely go over and bust, you can pull yourself back from the edge and give yourself a 20, which has a decent chance to win. You can also have ones that then will attack them. So you could be like, they get a +3, and hopefully that'll make them bust every time. Stuff like that. And it works just like blackjack in that, you see all your cards, and they always have a blind. They have a card that you can't see. And so you'll know whether or not they're close or not. And and you just continue to play a whole bunch of ones, and you go through kind of a cheesy story of you going through several different kingdoms. Did you have anything you want to say about it here? Or
no, that's pretty much it. I mean, the thing that I thought was cool when I first downloaded it to check it out was the fact that you're playing this game using blackjack. I mean, I haven't seen a game like that, so I thought it was a great idea. The problem is that you're playing a game with blackjack, which is at its heart very simple. You keep taking cards until you think that you're as close to 21 as you can get, and then you stop taking cards. So it's super simple, which is unfortunate. But then they do mix it up a little bit with all of the equipment and the spells. The problem is that everything is just so darn expensive that there's a lot of grinding involved to get any of that stuff, unless you want to pony up the money to basically just buy it flat out with cash. So you buy your coins and you buy your
So the
items and
game
stuff
is a
like that.
freemium model, so it is free. But then you can buy extra coins, and the coins will allow you to buy better gear. Um, I'm kind of in the middle on this game, and so I feel like it's a fun, interesting game, interesting idea. It's pretty simplistic. The guys that you're fighting, to me, get pretty repetitive. You're fighting like the same dude in a different color, um, with a swap color palette, and there's some of that in there. The story isn't really that cohesive, and like you said, blackjack is just kind of simple, and so because of that, I feel like there's not really a ton of interesting decisions to make because you're like, well, I'm obviously going to keep hitting until you get to whatever threshold based on
Yeah.
the number that you can see that they have, and
It's very luck based compared to poker, which has a lot of strategy. I mean, blackjack has a lot of strategy when you're playing at a table with a bunch of other people, and there's definitely a lot of strategy involved in that game. In this game, there's almost no strategy. There's keep hitting until you're close enough that you think, and then if you're over or under, you use your magic cards to get yourself closer to 21, and then you're done type thing, which I was hoping for a little bit more, unfortunately.
yeah, and I think that's kind of where I'm at too. And then, like you said, if you're playing at a table, you can remember cards and stuff like that, and you can kind of, figure out probabilities in order to make it a more skill-based game. And I just feel like this one doesn't have enough of that. And
I have a feeling that the computer cheats too. Because there'll be times when they get like 5 blackjacks in a row. It's like that's almost impossible with one deck of cards. So you must be shuffling your cards in between each hand. But even then, I have 2 aces in my hand. So the likelihood of you getting another ace to get your blackjack is very unlikely. But yet you got it.
yeah, I see that. And anyway, so overall, it's a game. It's free. It might be worth checking out. I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5 as kind of a. I was really excited about this game when I heard about it, and it kind of didn't live up to as good as I was hoping. So, would you kind of say that's kind of where you would be on it too, as kind of a middle of the road game?
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, it's free to play. So if you don't mind the odd bit of grinding, it's a fun little game to play. But I don't know, blackjack just it would have been better if it was poker. Of course, it would take a lot. It would take a lot more time, and there'd be a lot more stuff involved in it. But it's it's interesting, and it's fun. And I don't know if I'm going to be keeping it on my iPhone now that I've talked a little bit about it.
Yeah, for me, it's like it's okay. I just feel like there's more things that I would rather be playing, and because of that, I don't have time to play a lot of games that are less than good, and it's too bad because I was kind of hopeful that this would be a cool thing. So yeah, it's something that if you're interested, if you like blackjack and that type of thing, it might be worth checking out. It is free, but otherwise, I would say you can probably pass on this one and check something else out.
Yep, exactly.
And that is Suits and Swords.
Awesome. Cool. Let's jump right into my review. I was going to bring it up on my iPhone, but my iPhone just died. So apparently I should have charged it before doing my show. So now I'm going to talk about Flappy Bird. This game came out this week, and like I said, it's it's all the rage on the social media. That's all I see people talking about is playing Flappy Bird. I can't stop playing Flappy Bird. Why am I playing Flappy Bird? Here's my score. My score sucks. All my friends are better than me. I need to play it some more. And it's that type of stuff over and over and over again. So when I heard that, I was like, okay, I got to check it out. And then I was even happier when it was a free game, so I could check it out without wasting $1. And essentially, Flappy Bird is a flapping game. So you're a bird, and you hit the button to flap, and you have to keep flapping in a certain rhythm to go through pipes. And if you go through enough pipes, you get a high score. If you didn't go through that many pipes, you don't get a high score. And that is all the game is. It's a high score fest. So you're trying to get as high a score as you can on the game, and that's pretty much it.
2.4 meg.
It's terrible. It's terribly small, and so yeah.
He looks kind of like a cheap.
So this is the first time I've run it on my iPad, so don't make fun of my high score that I just got of 5. And you can see that it has pipes. You can see that the color palette is such. It looks very much like Mario. In fact, the bird himself, like you said, it looks like a Cheep. It looks like a combination between a Cheep and that the little, like, wow, there's a bit of a delay, so obviously I can't play looking at the camera, but it looks like a combination between a Cheep and the little guy, the little green guy with the little shell on his back. Not the turtle, but there's a different guy that has the white lips. It looks like they took the 2 sprites and mixed them together. So I mean, everything looks like it's a Mario game. So the graphics are very derivative of Mario. And yeah, I mean, the thing with Flappy Bird, which I guess upsets me or makes me kind of just scratch my head and wonder why there's so many people that are excited about this, is the game starts out really hard and it doesn't get any easier. So it's not like you can learn more. You just get luckier and luckier, and you get to anticipate things a little bit more. Usually in games like this, they'll build to a crescendo. This game just starts out where the gap in the pipes is the gap in the pipes, and that's what it's going to be for the rest of the game. And then you're just figuring out the proper time to float or to flap. And that is the entirety of this game. And it is like ripping up on the internet, and I don't understand it. Maybe this isn't a game for me. There's a rating page, and it takes me right to the App Store. So they're not trying to cheat me like they do on Android, which is kind of nice.
And it's nice that they're not trying to cheat you. It's nice. Really sad that we have to say that.
There's really nothing else to say about this game. It is as simple as you could possibly get. It's a high score fest. It is basically you trying to get a higher score than what it already lists for your score. You can share it. So when you play the game, I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna die. There we go. So I got a 1. And you can hit share, and then it brings up the share page on the bottom, so you can share via email, Twitter, and iMessage, or you can copy it to the clipboard. And that's really the only social interaction. Usually in games like this, they would have leaderboard support, so you could actually have a quick look at. It's like, oh, Quacko has 12, and I got 11. I'm gonna keep doing it till I get 13, so I can jump on my friend's leaderboard. So this doesn't even have that in it, which would make it a little bit of a better game. Yeah, I think that's all I can really say about Flappy Bird. It is as it's bordering the line of what actually is a game and what isn't. There's very little to do in the game other than try to get a high score. This will be incredibly addictive to some. To others, they will just scratch their head and wonder why they bothered downloading the 2 meg file and installing it on their iPad or iPhone. And that is that's about the boat that I'm on. I just don't understand why it's so popular. I don't understand why people enjoy it. There doesn't seem to be too much game in the game. And for me, it gets a 2 out of 5. I was going to give it a 1 out of 5. I thought that was kind of mean because it is a game and it is playable and it is super popular. So I'll give it a 2 out of 5 because I feel a little bit of pity, and I like the Mario graphics, even though they're not their own art style. He kind of copied some of the stuff from another game.
It just makes me sad when games like this blow up, because I've been seeing the same thing where a lot of people are talking about Flappy Bird, even though I'll be honest, I haven't actually seen that many people tweeting about actually playing it. I'm seeing more like news sites covering the fact that it went to #1 on the App Store and dethroned some of the titans up there.
Totally,
and I'm just like,
totally.
It just makes me sad because it's games like this that make developers obviously want that type of success.
Yep.
They said he's making $50,000 a day, which that's huge, and
It makes me sad because
it makes me sad because now
myself.
More people are going to do stuff like that, and
well, I'm okay with that.
Good games.
For me, it makes me sad because I didn't do it myself. Actually, one of the first games that I was messing around with on the iPhone when I was just working on just tooling around some games was something very similar to this, where there was spikes on the ceiling and on the floor, and they would just scroll randomly, or they would appear randomly, and the screen would scroll, and I'd be going up and down to try to avoid them. And it was not as hard as this one because they were pretty like they weren't big, so there was a lot of space in the middle, but it was just something that I messed around with. And then a game that is just a little more refined than what I was working on, next thing you know, is making this developer hundreds of thousands of dollars, which I don't want to say that I don't like it because of that, because that sounds like it's jealous when I'm really not. Well, actually, I guess I kind of am, because I'd like to be making that kind of money, but for me, it's just it's odd to me where games like this blow up, and then you get a like really awesome games that are like true, more hardcore-y kind of games that just don't even get a sniff of like either press excitement or player excitement. And it's really bizarre, and it just kind of underscores how tough and crazy it is to make a go of selling something on the App Store. Like Republic should be blowing up like crazy. It's an amazing game. What else? XCOM, any of those games, Oceanhorn, should be blowing up all over the place. But really, it's only just kind of the hardcore iOS fans that are playing this stuff. And it just makes me kind of shake my head. But that's what you get when you put out a game for free instead of a game that costs $10, I guess.
Seriously. So unfortunately, we didn't have positive reviews today. We had positive stuff to talk about in what we've been playing, but not in reviews.
Yeah, it wasn't super negative either. So, except for Flappy Bird, kind of negative. I will admit that it was pretty negative for that. Everything else, not too bad.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, that's going to about do it for episode 160 of the Touch of Gaming podcast. We want to hear from you guys. Let us know what you think of the show. Head on over to vgpodcast.com. You can check out all the stuff there. Go on our forums, send us email. A lot of stuff there. Check out all of our shows. You can do it all at vgpodcast.com. We're also available on email at vgpodcast@gmail.com, or call our voicemail line, which is area code 505 VG Podcasts. That's going to about do it for episode 160. Thanks for tuning in and staying subscribed. Apparently I can't talk. Jared, thanks for joining me for yet another episode.
My pleasure as always.
And we'll talk to you guys in a couple weeks' time, hopefully with some better reviews for you. Hopefully there'll be some good games that we can talk about.
Yep. See ya.
Later. I did it again. That one was on purpose. Later, everybody.